Poverty reduction strategy paper of 2001 actually again emphasizes the role of science, the role of technology, the role of innovation in national development. These papers have been criticized of having not given so much attention to science and technology, but you see elements of research and elements of science being picked into these technologies. Then historically in our country, come 2002 and we have a change of government, the NAC government comes into power at a time when the economy is actually almost on its knees. And what happens is they now do the economic recovery strategy for wealth and employment creation, which was supposed to guide the government from 2003 to 2007. Again, you see a lot of focus in terms of getting to consolidate the policy environment. In agriculture, for example, one of the things they wanted to do was to consolidate the over 60 statutes governing agriculture into one law. They tried to, one of the things they also said is to try and get the different agricultural research institutes into one body for efficiency and easy management. Now, many years later, we are seeing some of these things coming into fruition already. So again, the economic recovery strategy paper was very good, and I think we have seen that help the NAC government move quite strongly. As that was happening, we also began a process of getting, for the first time, a science, technology, and innovation policy for the country. And consultations went on, and I think at around about March, thereabouts of 2008, we got our first, science, technology, and innovation policy for the country. Now, it is important to note that at that point we have added the word innovation to that particular policy, because this is one thing that we have been missing as a country all through. Science, we do science and technology, but the next step of taking that science and technology into application has always been missing. So now we do have a good policy framework for harnessing the science and technology that we have. This has been followed now by the Science, Technology and Innovation Act of 2013. And what has happened is that this has now provided the framework of trying to translate some of the policy statements in the STI policy into action. And if you look at the Act, what has happened is that it has recognized the need for coordination of science and technology and innovation activities, and therefore created the National Commission for Science, Technology and Innovation out of what previously was called National Council for Science and Technology. Now, adding the word innovation to that and turning it into a commission has several advantages. One, the role of innovation is now very much explicit, but turning it into a commission also gives it some level of autonomy to be able to guide the decisions that happen around science and technology for development of the country. Now, that act also created the National Research Fund. I started by saying that our investment into science and technology has been very weak. Up to this moment, Kenya is actually investing only 0.48% of its GDP to science and technology and research. And that is extremely low. In fact, if you look at that against the backdrop of the Lagos Plan of Action of 1980, that required African governments to put up to 1% of their GDP into science and technological research, then you can realize that Kenya has been doing very dismally. And therefore, the creation of the National Research Fund as a fairly autonomous body to try and manage the national research kitty, if you want, is a very important move. Now, what has happened in the Act as well is that the government has committed itself to give not just the 1% of GDP that the Lagos Plan of Action required, but to give 2% of GDP into science and technology research. Now, that is very significant, because if we invest properly into science and technology, then we can hope to harness the benefits that will come out of that investment. And so we are looking and watching very keenly if government is going to follow through and give 2% of GDP in the national budget to science and technology. And if they do, that would be a very good achievement. As part of the Science and Technology Act, Innovation Act of 2013, the government has created the Kenya National Innovation Agency. And this is an agency that is going now to be scouting and supporting innovation and innovators from the country. And what the government is planning to do is to open up offices in all the 47 counties for the Kenya National Innovation Agency to try and scout for innovations from the grassroots and support innovations at the county level. And that then builds up to the national level. Now, this is important because we are then going to begin to tap the talent that is at the grassroots. A lot of times the focus has been on Nairobi and the capital cities, and what actually happens on the grassroots have been missed out. I do appreciate the National Commission for Science and Technology have been trying to support innovators. They, give them some funding to try and develop the things that they're doing. One other critical aspect of this that I need to mention is intellectual property rights, because this is one area that we lose a lot of our knowledge into. And the environment for the protection of intellectual property rights has also been evolving in the country. We have had, for example, the Seeds and Seed Varieties Act that protects new plant breeders for quite some time. But in 1990, the government then enacted the Kenya Industrial Property Act. And what that act did is that it created the Kenya Industrial Property Organization, what then came later to be transformed into the Kenya Industrial Property Institute. And it is important because if you're going to transform the knowledge that is coming out of science, the inventions that we have from our laboratories, from our universities, into actual commercializable products, then we should be able to protect those products. And the Industrial Property Act and KIPI do provide a framework for that. So far, I think the sense that we get talking with people from KIPI is, one, the awareness about intellectual property rights in the country is still very low. Two, the number of applications from the nationals of this country is equally low. So we have a lot of applications actually coming from outsiders. And you have many people innovating and going to expose their knowledge and their inventions out there without protecting them, and thereby ending that they sometimes lose these innovations. And what has happened is lately I think KIPI is getting out of the offices and trying to reach out to research institutions and do some awareness programs. That is progress and needs to continue, so that the innovators up to the grassroots level should know, especially these young people, that once you have an invention that is likely to solve a problem, you need to protect it. Because if you don't, then the next person is likely to steal your idea and commercialize it. And so I think that has moved on quite well. The other thing that has happened in the country is the establishment of a development blueprint, the Vision 2030. This is so important for us as a country. One, because it allows us to have a forward-looking policy document that says in the next so many years, in this case the cutoff is 2030, we should have attained the following. And together with that does come, a means of trying to do that. If you look at our Vision 2030, it is so important to note that actually the foundation of that Vision 2030 is science, technology, and innovation. Yes. And so it has pillars. It has the economic pillar, it has the social pillar, it has the political pillar. But all these pillars, the bedrock, their foundation is on science, technology, and innovation. And therefore, what that means for us as a country is that we have appreciated and acknowledged the role of science and technology in taking forward the development of the country. The other thing that we need to also appreciate in relation to that is that science, technology, and innovation is a cross-cutting issue. So you go to each and every sector, you are going to find science and technology. If you went to trade, for example, you are going to look at the innovations around M-Pesa. That is science and technology. If you went to health, you are going to find, rapid diagnostic kits. You are going to find, whether it is in pharmaceutical, drug manufacture, and all that, that's science and technology. If you went to transport and infrastructure, if you went to energy, in other words, every sector of our economy is going to have some dose of science and technology to thrive. And therefore, it is so important that the Vision 2030 actually does recognize that and have its own foundation pegged on science, technology, and innovation. And therefore, I think going forward, that is an advantage that we have, and we just need as a country to continue to invest in science and technology and harness the skills and the manpower and the technologies that we have around to propel us forward. Having said that, I think there are a number of challenges that we still face as a country that we need to deal with. One is the level of funding for science and technology. I have mentioned that we only invest up to this moment, only up to about 0.48% of our GDP. And that is quite low. We just cannot compete globally as we have envisioned in the Vision 2030, that we want to be a globally competitive nation that is thriving by 2030 without investing into science, technology, and innovation. It is never going to take off. And therefore, it is very important that the government has committed to giving 2% of our GDP to science, technology, and innovation research. If that does happen, we are going to begin to see the benefits. And therefore, I would want to emphasize the role of the government investing, and seriously so, in science, technology, and innovation. The other challenge that we have had is that science and technology being a cross-cutting issue, the coordination has become a problem. The National Council of Science and Technology was created in 1977 via the SNT Act, Cap 250, to do the coordination of science and technology in the country. But that hasn't, done it all. If you look at the history of the country, you realize that science and technology has been shifting from ministries. A lot of times it is actually lumped with education. But being an issue that is cross-cutting across all the relevant ministries, if it is locked up into one ministry, the problem that you then enter it, people think that is an issue for that particular ministry. And so in certain countries, what people have tried to do is to elevate the level of science and technology, sometimes to the office of the president. For the simple fact that when it is up there, then it is able to look at all the other cross-cutting sectors of the economy.